Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Natasha, the Unconventional Aussie, and today's video is going to be about my journey to wearing the hijab. Now let's start back before I reverted to Islam. And as some of you may or may not know, I grew up in Sydney, Australia, and I grew up in an area of Sydney that didn't have a lot of cultural diversity. So me seeing a Muslim woman wearing the hijab or the niqab was really rare. And when I did see this, it often made me feel a bit uneasy, a bit uncomfortable. And I think those feelings came from a lack of knowledge of why, and also a lack of understanding on why they would choose to wear this attire. Especially in Australia, where the climate is really, really hot, I couldn't understand why they would choose to wear such a thing that would have been really hot and really uncomfortable. And on top of that, in a country surrounded by the culture, which was all about wearing shorts and t-shirts and bikinis and speedos and all of that, summer dresses and everything like that. So these assumptions then led me to think, well, they mustn't choose to wear this, so they must be forced. And I think a lot of people who I grew up with and who I was surrounded by would have had that same assumption of they wouldn't choose to wear this or be uncomfortable. So yeah, it must be done unwillingly. And all of these assumptions came from a lack of knowledge and misinformation. And it also came from a place because I didn't seek to rectify that misinformation and I didn't seek any knowledge to understand it better. So I thought I'd do a bit of a double up in this video of sharing some knowledge with you about why Muslim women choose to cover, and also tie it in with my journey and how I came to wear the hijab myself. So I want to start off with sharing an analogy that I heard, and I can't remember where I heard this analogy from, but I just remember it really stuck with me. And it goes like this. It's, why do we keep our money in our wallet? Why don't we just have it on show for everybody to see? And the reason is that money is valuable, and people may not necessarily have the best intentions. And if they know how much money we have, they may act or behave in a certain way that is they're only doing it so that they can get their hands on the money. And I don't need to explain this. I know I probably don't need to explain this, but I will, just for my own personal benefit, to make sure that I've made sense. But in this analogy, the money is women and their beauty. So in Islam teaches us to, as women, to cover and hide our beauty and only share it with our family and our husbands. And that's to protect us and to avoid us being in situations where we're taken advantage of. In today's society especially, it's normal to see women be objectified. And what I mean by that, it's normal for us to walk down any high street or in big cities such as Sydney, London, Manchester, wherever, where a billboard or an advertisement screen is of a half-naked lady in a lingerie set or in a bikini or in a short something showing off her figure. On social media, how often are we scrolling through and every second image is of a girl showing off her figure in some way? And you know, on television, advertisements, even perfume advertisements are of women in clothing that show off figures or in no clothing at all and just have, you know, a sheer thing on. And when did it become okay for women to be objectified? When did that become the normal? And this is where the beauty of Islam shines through, because not only does in Islam are women told to cover to protect themselves, but it's also to protect families and to protect lineage. And what I mean by this is that if women cover, we're removing a really big temptation from men. We know that Allah created women to be beautiful and that He created man to desire that beauty. So if we remove that beauty and we kind of hide it from them, then we're helping men out to resist that temptation, to resist those desires. Now, if we remove that temptation, we would solve the issue of adultery, because there wouldn't be men being able to want what isn't theirs or want something better than what they've got, because they wouldn't know that what they have isn't the best. And I'm going to use Osman, as my husband, as an example for this. So say we've been together for a really long time. We're married, we're happy. He thinks I'm the bee's knees. He thinks I'm so beautiful, I'm amazing, I'm, whatever to him, I'm perfect to him. And then we've been together for ages. We've had multiple children. I've got a little bit more relaxed on keeping up my appearance because I'm a bit more comfortable. I don't have time to go to the gym because I'm caring for our children. And, I don't look how I look when we first met. And he's going into work, and there's this girl at work who is stunning, wears a lot of makeup and looks really beautiful, wears really fitted clothing, shows off her figure. She doesn't have any children, so she has time, to go to the gym a lot, to look after herself, everything like that. And then he starts to think, actually, like, she looks better than my wife. I want her instead because she looks a lot better. So then he gives into his desires. He's tempted, and he gives into those temptations. So Shaitan is whispering, he's giving into those temptations. And then he marries this girl instead. He has children with her, and the same thing happens. He then sees someone else, and he thinks, oh, she looks better than what I've got now. I'm going to want that. Obviously, that's not the case. That's so not the case, because again, the beauty of Islam, it teaches men to also lower their gaze. So no matter what that woman is wearing, whether she's covered from head to toe or if she's in a mini skirt and a bra, they are to lower their gaze. They're not to look. And regardless of Shaitan telling them and urging them towards their desires, it's, them to have that self-control and to look and have respect for not only themselves but for their wives and for women, to not look and to lower their gaze. Now, girls, sisters, I know you're probably thinking, why should we have to cover if men can't control themselves and control their urges? But don't forget that Allah created us to be beautiful. So men desire us, and that's normal, that's natural. But don't forget, it goes both ways. In Islam, men are also told that they're to dress modestly because women have desires just as men do. But we are created differently. We have a different makeup. So although those desires exist for women, it's not the same as it is for men. And I don't want to go too deep into this, so it's just a very basic explanation. But additionally to that, I personally, especially now, I don't want strangers looking at me. I don't want people gawking at me and objectifying me and looking at me like a piece of meat. That just makes me feel uncomfortable. And especially if we're married, or Muslim or not, if we're married, if we have boyfriends, if we're in long-term relationships, we shouldn't want to put ourselves in a position where strange men can look at us and think provocative thoughts about us. We shouldn't want that. So if we can avoid being in that situation, then why shouldn't we? Why wouldn't we want to avoid putting ourselves in that situation? And this leads me to think and reflect upon when I was in my early 20s. And this is an honest reflection of when I would be going out for a night out with the girls. We'd go to a club. Obviously, this is before I reverted to Islam, but we'd, go to a club, and the outfits that I would choose to wear, I would be in an outfit that would be revealing. It would show my figure. It would show skin. Not only would I wear that because I wanted attention, I liked attention, but it's also because it's what I thought and what was expected of me to wear at those sorts of places. You can't go to those sorts of places wearing track pants or something covering because you would just get looked at. It's not normal. And this goes back to women being objectified and what the norm is, what the social norm is for women. And that's why this concept of us covering is considered so strange, when in fact it's not strange at all. It's what should be done, and we should want to cover. All of my choices of what I would wear, and even up until really recently before I reverted to Islam, what I would choose to wear was all about pleasing other people, when all I should be caring about is pleasing myself, pleasing my husband, and most importantly, pleasing Allah, and making sure that I'm doing what He has instructed me to do, and for good reason. Allah knows best. We know as Muslims that whatever we've been told to avoid is for really good reason. Now, I'm waffling way too much and I'm going on a bit of a tangent, so I'm going to leave it there and move on to my journey to wearing the hijab and how I came to making the decision to wear it. So as I said at the start of my video, seeing a woman in a niqab or hijab made me feel really uncomfortable, and that was because of a lack of understanding. So when I first started to look into Islam and I made the decision to learn about Islam, those feelings of me being uncomfortable when seeing a woman wearing that disappeared because I understood it. I could see it from their perspective and I understood why they wore it. And on top of that, I also learned that wearing the niqab or the hijab is personal choice. It is down to the woman. And yes, as Muslim women, we should cover. 100%, we should cover. But equally, it's also down to the individual, and it's the woman's choice when she feels ready to do so. No one can force that upon anyone. And I think that that was really important for me to learn, because I was really nervous about reverting to Islam and making the commitment to Islam, because I thought that I would straight away have to cover. I would straight away have to wear the hijab. And for me personally at that time, I could never envision myself wearing a hijab, let alone dressing modestly. So to know that it wasn't expected of me straight away, and to know that it was something that I was going to be able to do in my own time when I felt ready, was really, really crucial turning point for me. And just to add there, you know, people will comment and will tell you what you should and shouldn't be doing, but they are just trying to guide you. Don't take it like they're trying to boss you around and tell you what to do. They're just trying to help. But just know that your decision of wearing a hijab or not wearing a hijab is between you and Allah, and that's it, no one else. So just really remember that. So once that pressure was off me to, straight away wearing the hijab, I started off making baby steps. So I started off just by dressing a little bit more modestly. So instead of choosing skinny jeans from my wardrobe, I would choose a more relaxed and more looser fit that wouldn't show my curves as much. And then I just slowly started to up this. So I started to then, instead of wearing tight fitted tops, I'd wear loose fitted tops, etc., etc. Now, if you don't know, as Muslim women, we need to cover when we pray. So I started to wear the hijab. I was wearing the hijab 5 times a day, every time I would pray. And the more I started to do that, the more curious I got and the more intrigued I got about different styles of wearing the hijab. So I started to look up YouTube videos of styling the hijab, and when I would pray, I would style it differently each time. And the more I saw myself wearing the hijab and in different styles, the more comfortable I got with it. And the more comfortable I got with it, the more curious I got and the more intrigued I was. And I felt this drive of I really wanted to wear the hijab out and about. But I had this reservation. I had this really big reservation based on, I was really worried about what people who I knew already and who knew me as a non-Muslim would think. And I think a big part of this was me returning to work. So I work in healthcare, and because of the lockdown, so the last time I was in work, I was pregnant. And because of the lockdown, obviously I haven't seen people. And also when I was pregnant, I was secluded from everybody because obviously I was in the high risk group, etc., etc. So the last time I saw a lot of my work colleagues and a lot of my friends from work was before I was married, before I was a Muslim, before I had my second child, and before I was wearing the hijab. So I'm really anxious about returning back to work. I still feel really anxious about it. But this anxiety and the feelings I had about worrying what they were going to think of me were impacting my decision to commit to wearing the hijab, even though if I asked myself, do I want to start wearing it? The answer was yes, but I had a but. But I'm worried about this, And, I was also worried that maybe, was I being influenced? Was I being influenced by other people that I needed to wear it when maybe I wasn't ready to wear it? So I sort of approached Osman and I said to him, I think I want to wear the hijab, but I'm not sure. What do you think it's allowed if I wear the hijab and let's say I wear it for a week, for 2 weeks, and then I realized, I'm not ready yet. I'm feeling a little bit uncomfortable. I'm not there yet. Do you think it's worse for me then to take it off then not wear it at all. And he just reminded me that, you know, my decision to wearing the hijab is for me and me only. And my decision and my choice is also between me and Allah. And He knows my intentions. And that really, really helped me in that, you know what, like, that's such a good point. And so the next day I decided to wear the hijab, and I just wore it down to the park. So it wasn't far at all, and just to see how I would feel. And to be honest, I felt really uncomfortable. I was really unsure. I felt like everybody was looking at me funny. I felt like I was getting those judgy eyes. But I had Osman with me, and I just made sure, that, I was just trying to involve myself just with him and, my family, and having fun and trying to forget about everything, because I knew it was in my head. I knew that people didn't care. And the more that I wore it and the more that I wore it out, I realized that people just didn't care. But I still had this anxiety. I still had this worry of what people who knew me would think. And I think this is a really common thing. It's really easy not to care what people you don't know think, because you're probably never going to see them again, or, you don't really care about them. But it's people who you know that you're most worried about. And so this anxiety, I must say, like, I'm still really nervous to go back to work. I still am. So I'll definitely keep you posted when I do return on how it all went. And I know that some people aren't going to like it. Some people aren't going to support my decision, and some people, I'm going to get negative comments. But, I need to remind myself the reason why I chose to wear the hijab in the first place, and to surround myself with people that support me. Now, a few of my friends that do know that I've decided to wear the hijab are really supportive, and I'm really lucky for that. And, they're really proud of me, and they know how important it is and how much of a big step it is for me and for my religion. So that's really great. And actually, on the topic of people who support and don't support, brings me to my family. So I've had a few people ask, do my family know that I'm wearing the hijab? And the answer is no, they don't. And that's not because I'm being deceitful or I'm hiding it from them. That's purely because I don't see them when I'm out and about, because obviously they still live in Australia. So the only time I see them is on FaceTime, which is when I'm in my own home. So obviously I'm not wearing it. And I think telling my dad and my stepmom, that wouldn't be an issue, because they're really supportive. So that wouldn't be an issue at all for them. They would totally, be happy for me. My sister, I think, I think she would be. I think she'd be a little bit surprised of how quickly I've decided to wear the hijab, because it is such a big decision. But she would definitely support me. My mum and my stepdad, probably not. I don't think they will be supportive of it. And that is based off of comments that they've made in the past. And those comments are along the lines of, they hope that I would never wear the hijab, and they hope that their granddaughters, so my daughters, would never wear the hijab as well. So based off of those comments, I'm going to say that they're not going to be supportive of my decision, which actually makes me think, so 2 days ago, so yesterday, it was really cold, and it was actually snowing, and I FaceTimed my mum to share the excitement of snow and to show her our daughter playing in the snow, and she didn't pick up. So I can imagine if she did pick up, that would have been interesting. I would have definitely had a different story to tell today, because she would have obviously seen me in the hijab for the first time. So I wonder how her reaction would have been. But yeah, she didn't pick up. So anyway, I'm going off on a tangent again. So I think this goes back to, if my parents, or if my mom and, my stepdad don't support me, this goes back to, I'm not going to please everybody. I'm not going to please everyone that surrounds me. People aren't going to agree with what I'm doing. People aren't going to support what I'm doing. But that's okay, because I'm not doing it for them. I'm doing it for me. And the choices and the decisions I make is between me and Allah. And that is it at the end of the day. That is all that matters. And if you're in a similar position to me, then just remind yourself of the reasons why you put the hijab on to begin with. Or why you're thinking about wearing the hijab to begin with. because it's those reasons and that rationale that will get you through those nasty comments or those people who aren't supporting you. And again, I'm just going to remind you, if they aren't supporting you and they're being horrible, then don't surround yourself with those type of people, because they're not good for you. And they're not nice people if they're being like that. I've been wearing the hijab now for just a month, or just over a month, and I haven't had any inkling of regret. I haven't thought to myself, I've made the wrong decision, or I've made this decision too quickly. I have had moments where I feel like I have no confidence wearing it. I feel like I look really ugly, or I'm just not enjoying the how I look in it. But again, that will come in time, when I get more comfortable, when I get used to different styles that work for me, that suit me, that suit the clothing I wear. So, in terms of, am I 100% confident? Am I 100% there yet? No, definitely not. That will take time. That will take, I'm sure, years, as other hijabis, I'm sure, will agree with that. It definitely takes time. But, baby steps, and keep going. And I think, if you're in the position of you wanting to wear the hijab, or you've just put on the hijab, just the only advice I can give is just baby steps. Don't compare yourself to other people. This is your journey and your journey only, and it's between you and Allah. And don't let the negative people bog you down, and don't let people, try and control you and tell you what to do. Take people's advice as advice and take it as guidance. And, everyone, or majority of people, are there to help you. So, use that help and use that support, and inshallah you'll get there. But I'm going to leave this video here for now. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate all your support. It's so overwhelming. It's so amazing. Alhamdulillah. And if you see this video and you think of someone who might benefit from it, as always, share it with them. And inshallah, I will see you in my next video.